On your feet! Get them going!
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live, the Reconstruction Zone. Yes, we are here to reconstruct what has been deconstructed and then do the construction on whatever. My name is Mike Miller. I am not a pastor, priest, rabbi, theologian, or a terribly educated man, as I'm sure my detractors will attest. I just try to use rational common sense. I try to see things through a lens of reason and rational thought, which is how I ended up becoming a Christian. I'll be honest with you. The heck was that? Hello, Missy, Tina, Bob, Tanner. Where's Amy? Missy, where's your sister? She's late. She's late for a very important date. I'm ready to be reconstructed. Can't wait for my new. Can wait. Can't wait. Can you wait though? Because you'll have to wait. In the commentary, someone was saying how I got my all my stuff wrong about how they date. Still hurts. How they date fossils. And I said, well, it's circular, right? I said, well, they date fossils by the layer of sediment they're found in. And then they date the layer of sediment by the fossils found therein. This is circular reasoning. And he's like, well, no, you're not counting the other dating methods. The other dating methods are methods. And I am just... Here's the thing about these guys. They like to overcomplicate things and then say you don't understand. When truth is very basic. Truth and reality are very simple to understand. If you can't trust something 100%, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, I shouldn't be doing this during the show, but it was just bugging me that this pen is running out of juice. If you cannot trust something 100%, then why do you put 100% faith in it? Very simple. There's a handful of very simple and indisputable realities about radiocarbon dating, and I know it's not the only carbon dating thing. It's not the only dating method they use, but radiocarbon dating, which they mostly rely on and have forever, and then said that radiocarbon dating is a fact. Radiocarbon dating is true. Blah 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 blah. Coal, regularly. You probably ubiquitously. Yeah. I don't know if it's exactly, but coal usually dates to around 12,000 years. Even that number I find suspect, right? The stuff we do radiocarbon date that we know the absolute date of, they never get right. It never radiocarbon dates exactly correctly to the stuff that we know exactly and correctly. Living like clams, I think it's clams. Maybe it's mussels. Living mollusks have been dated to like 50,000 years old. I don't think they're actually... I've seen baby clams, and I've seen everything in between. The big clams, baby clams. They're born every day, and their shells are dated to like 50,000 years. So if you can't trust something 100%, then why would you trust it to be 100% accurate? I know that sounds like a very circular question, but it is the case, is it not? The other dating methods based also on decay rely necessarily on the assumption, you can never trust an assumption 100%, on the assumption that decay rates have been eternally constant? We don't know if the speed of light is eternally constant. I'll be honest with you. There have been measurements of the speed of light over the centuries, and here this is not a 100% provable thing, because the excuse of why the speed of light is slowing down according to the measurements over the centuries is because our measuring our ability to measure the speed of light has gotten better, and so we're just getting more accurate. Well, that's fine. That may very well be true, but over the centuries, the variance doesn't go, oh, sometimes it's slower, sometimes it's faster. It's always slower as we measure into the future. Is that 100% true? I mean, it's 100% true, but is it 100% proof? No, because it could very well be. They didn't measure the light every 3 days, right? They measured it here and there throughout the past centuries. Hey, Joe, what's up? And so the decline of the rate of the speed of light could be an error in measurement, and that we have simply gotten better at measuring the speed of light. That could go either way. But does it leave room for question? I mean, would it not, in a decaying universe where all things lead toward entropy? Is the speed of light not subject to the laws of physics? I don't see why it wouldn't be, right? The universe is winding down. Amy's back. Where does the light go? Wherever it needs to. But you get my point. And again, there's that theory that time, how do you phrase it? The speed of time is dependent on your locality in the universe. That there is a 0 point of time at the singularity point where the universe began, and that time speeds up the further you expand from the singularity. And if that is the case, and at the edges of the universe, time is like, so like what I'm saying is, like at the 0 point of the universe, time would still be 0. And then like 1 second away from that, time is like 1 second. And then at the edge of the universe, time's 18 billion years or whatever, right? And then there's a zone wherein we're 6,000 years away from the 0 point of the universe. See, I don't know the math on that. I just know that it's a working theory amongst some whatever physicists, theologian, I don't know who the hell, whatever it is. But that's what I'm saying. It's like there's so much we don't know. And to hold on to your eternal destination based on theories that require assumptions to be true that you just simply cannot know to be true. I don't know. It's a little bit like betting 36 on the roulette wheel every single time. What is faster than light? Thought. How do you like that answer? Huh? Huh? Eh? All right. Well, that's what I had been kind of percolating on. Really fast light. What is faster than thought? I feel like there's a joke here coming, Joe. Why don't you just give us the punchline? Not my thought. Um, oh, dang it. There was one other thing I wanted to. What was it? What was it? What was I just thinking about outside? I should take notes for this show. Honestly, if I had notes for this show, there'd never. I'd just be like, "Oh, okay, I'm done with that. What? This is what else I was thinking about." The results of drinking milk, then orange juice. Ask how I know. Nope. I have no interest in knowing how you know. As long as it's not ultimately a yo mama joke. Yeah, man. The Squid Grow cruise is in Vegas right now, and I feel like I missed my opportunity to join them there. Shib was out there hanging out with Vivek Ramaswamy, and I'm like, jelly. Oh no, that's sin, isn't it? Having envy. My envy is that I should have been there, and I'm an idiot. You make alcohol in your stomach with milk and orange juice? I don't know that that's the case. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. So, what else we got to get into? Let me see if there was anything else on that. Oh, the fossil record. That was the other thing about the fossil record. He was saying that, oh, you said there's no transitional species. There's plenty of transitional species. I've got this one and this one and this one and this one. And I'm like, bro, what you have, you don't have missing links in the fossil record. You have missing chains in the fossil record. No, I just talked to you yesterday. You have missing chains, entire missing chains in the fossil record. In fact, the entire fossil record, if we had the entirety of what evolution expects to be the fossil record, in other words, if every living species had been fossilized in the fossil record, and we had all of the fossils from any mutation and new form, all the way from beginning to end, it would be trillions upon trillions of fossils of genetic lines that veered off, went extinct. I mean, look how many creatures go extinct currently. How many creatures go extinct every year? This is an interesting point of fact, and you can't just blame man. You can't just say, "Oh, man's making everything extinct." Let's find out. How many species go extinct every year? Roughly 870 to 8,700 species per year. I mean, that's a 10x range, but how many species exist today? 8.7 million. How many new species are created each year? Because, you know, if evolution wants to keep up with the extinction rate, we got to keep creating new species, right? No, there's none created, just previously unidentified. So no new species are being created, except by man when we mix dogs together, right? And yet somewhere between 900 and 9,000 species go extinct every year. At this rate, How long until all species go extinct? Let's just do the simple math on that. At the higher end, 1,000 years. So at the higher end, if the number of species continue to go extinct at the rate they're going extinct today, there will be 1,000 years left before no species exist on planet Earth. I'm not laughing at the possibility of all life on planet Earth being extinct. I'm laughing at the stupidity of believing that evolution has produced so many species over millions of years, hundreds of millions of years, has created so many species, and yet no new species are being created today, and species are going extinct at a rate of, it's like 0.1% of the total species per year, to the point where if that continues, and again, can't promise it will continue, evolution will have failed, because evolution cannot keep up with the extinction rate. It's kind of like we can't keep up with the population rate because too many women have been convinced that their careers are more important than creating more human beings. And because of that, the replacement rate in the Western world has declined below repopulation. So we are going to, we find new species, John. That does not mean new species are created. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. Also sounds like a song by Five Iron Frenzy, a la Battle Dancing Unicorns with Glitter. I don't know what you just said. We've witnessed speciation. You mean you've witnessed not speciation. See, here's a little problem with that. The meaning of the word species in biology means, and I don't think they've changed the definition, but it means something that can breed with another. So if you because any dog can breed with any other dog, it's only one species. Dog is one species, which is weird because you can breed dogs with wolves, which also puts them in that species. See, in the Bible, we use that as the term kind. There's one kind. We've done it in the lab. You created a species that can't breed with its parent species in a lab? Evolution happens regardless of what any gods have to say. Okay, let's find out. Have we created a subspecies that cannot breed with its parent species in a lab? And are you talking about like microbes or something? Kudos to John Smith for the avatar with the only doctor that should ever exist. Well, I mean, that's not fair because he's the fourth doctor, right? Fighting entropy with labradoodles. Right. Are we strictly talking macro? Yeah, you have to talk macro. I mean, look, a cat with 6 toes isn't a new species of cat. It's a cat with 6 toes, right? It's still a cat. It is still a cat. Yeah, that's the doctor I grew up with right there. Although I liked some of the new. Look, man, I loved. I thought the last. What the hell is his name? Starts with a C. The old man. Why can't I remember his name? I thought he was a great doctor with horrible scripts. To say evolution of species does not happen is to be completely out of touch with reality. Peter Capaldi. Yes. Great doctor. Terrible scripts. Man, if he had just... Yeah. He was a great doctor with terrible scripts. That's all I'm going to say. And it's funny that he was actually... he was in one of the earlier episodes, too, where he played a Roman. He was like... And then you go back and you watch the old episode. Hey, you're like, hey, wait a minute. The doctor. A Hemingway cat. Polydactyl cats. Right. They're still cats. They can still breed with other cats. Right. To say evolution of species does not happen is completely out of touch. No, it's completely ignore your argument. All right, so let me back to the point. Yeah, he was done dirty. He was done dirty. Done dirty. He had some good episodes, but a lot of that stuff was bad. If evolution of species is true, Lou, you would have trillions and trillions, literally uncountable numbers of species over the fossil, the I don't know how many millions of years it's supposed to be since right. Nobody really knows. I'll just make this crap up. But just call it hundreds of millions of years, right? It's supposed to be trillions upon trillions of species, right? Nobody argues that. The required situational elements for a creature to be rapidly buried, deprived of oxygen, in a sediment layer that allows the minerals to leach into the existing bones, blah, blah. Fossilization. The process of fossilization is so... The required elements are so rare that it is nearly a miracle that any creature is ever found fossilized. So the rarity of the situation required for fossilization, that's one part of this equation. The other equation is there have been so many fossils, or not fossils, there have been so many species, trillions, uncountable species. The rarity of the one and the nearly unlimited possibilities of the other, right? You would agree with these two, correct, Lou? You are not a scholar of evolution and do not know about these things on any level. It is literally common knowledge that evolution... Right. In other words, it's propagandized in school. But follow with me, Lou. Follow with me. Right? It's so rare, right? So you're agreeing. Corpse Grinder, Lou, you're agreeing. The particular needs, I can't even think of what it is. The situational reality of what is required to fossilize anything is super, super rare, right? It's so rare, and we have a lot of fossils. Seems like it would take a lot of time. All right, ignore the second fact. It is so rare. You agree, right? Both of you agree. This is not a trick question. I'm just asking you to agree on what is fundamentally agreed upon in science. It is extraordinarily rare for the situation required, all of the situations required to fossilize a creature. Every 2 feet, there's another fossil. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Can we get an agreement, Grinder? Lou? This is not a trick question. You both know this is true. This is what your science books teach. So you're afraid to say it because you know I'm going to screw you with it. It is rare, but not extraordinarily rare. Mudslides happen every day somewhere on the planet. It's not just mudslides. But okay, fair. It is rare. I'm not a scientist, neither are you. Okay, then why are you claiming that you believe in this stuff? Shouldn't you know this stuff for a fact before you go around believing it? Also, mudslides aren't that common. I mean, I'm sure they happen somewhere, everywhere. Somewhere, every day, right? All right, now the second half of this equation. Literally uncounted trillions of creatures should exist or have existed according to evolutionary theory. Dead branches, whatever. It's just transitional species. How many transitional species should there be between the wolf-like creature and the freaking whale, right? It's not just mudslides, as you said. I'm just saying it's rare. Yes, it is not common. It is rare. And the fact that it's not just a mudslide, it's the other stuff. It's like the necessary minerals. It's not just mud, right? It's the necessary minerals to leach into, because it has to be completely deprived of oxygen. And you want me to look it up? Look at all the different what all is required for a creature. What's this called? An animal to be fossilized. I'm just going to do it so that I can get all the information out. It requires rapid burial, low oxygen environment, like I said. It has to have hard parts. This is funny because jellyfish have been fossilized. It has to have a stable chemical environment. It has exceptional preservation for soft tissue. Rare conditions like anoxic lagoons, tar pits, or amber entrapment are needed. Oh, that's for soft tissue. It requires geological stability, and it requires millions of years. Okay, so you require these factors, right? To fossilize a creature requires those factors. To have all of those factors in place it requires more than just a mudslide. More than just a mudslide. It requires quite a bit more. So again, the circumstances for fossilization are rare, if not extremely rare. Can we just agree to that? Brooklyn Lou, you're not dealing with with what I'm giving you. See, I'm using rational thought, the evidence at hand, and common sense, and you're just trying to avoid the argument. Not sure if there's trillions of transitional species, for one thing, and that doesn't mean we found trillions of fossils. I know. I'll get there in analogy. You're not sure if there's trillions of species. Okay, just one creature, just getting from the quote unquote wolf-like creature to the whale would require ridiculous numbers of transitional species, right? We've got 5 fossils that they claim are transitional species, including the wolf-like creature and the whale. So really, we have 3 transitional species they claim are evidence of this evolution from a land-dwelling wolf-like creature to a freaking whale. But in reality, if that were the case, it would require at minimum thousands of transitional species, right? You can't make that kind of a leap with 3 fossils. That's why I keep saying it's not missing links, it's missing chains. And you have to do that with every creature that exists now. You have to do that with every creature that ever existed. Okay, yeah, if you have to do that with every creature that exists now, and there are 8.7 million species alive today. So you take 8.7 million and you multiply that by thousands at minimum. At minimum, we've got hundreds and hundreds of billions. Hundreds and hundreds of billions. I'm sure it's more than that because you also have to add in all of the previously extinct creatures who had to. And I'm sorry. I was just getting from the wolf to the freaking whale. I wasn't getting from the amoeba to the wolf. It would by necessity be trillions and trillions, literally uncountable numbers of transitional species. That's just, you couldn't get there any other way. You couldn't get there any other way. Brooklyn Lou, you keep trying to change the subject. Focus on what I'm saying. Focus. Ever had to outrun tree sap? No, I haven't. I've had a hell of a time getting it off my fingers, though. We would find. No, I'm not saying we would find it. I'm saying that that's how many there would be. I'm saying that fossilization is so rare, it's it would be extraordinarily rare that we find a fossil species in the fossil, or a species fossilized, because of the circumstances required for fossilization being so rare. Oh yes, I am a young Earth creationist. I cannot dignify this discussion. I am not a scientist. I did study years ago, and evidence for evolution is mountainous. Just follow me, Lou. Okay? This isn't hard to follow. This isn't hard to follow. You keep just throwing crap out there because you refuse to engage with the thought experiment. Because you will be screwed once you realize. This is very, very simple math. What are we getting at, Matt? Mike, the Ark was a spaceship carrying out genetic experiments. Amoeba to a wolf. Well, you have to get there, right? So you accept hyperevolution if you believe Noah's Ark happened. No, I don't believe in hyperevolution. I also don't believe in, like I said earlier, all dogs are one species. The way these guys, the way the word species is used today, it really means like subspecies or something like that. But you just use the word species like, oh, there's even Grok's knowing there's not 87 million species, right? Or 8.7 million species. There's, because they would, that's unimportant. Okay, literally. Okay, so we've agreed, right? Circumstances required for fossilization, rare to extremely rare. Number of fossils or number of species in the history of Earth, according to evolution, trillions upon trillions. Or at least to say an extraordinarily ridiculous number, right? According to evolution, these two things being true, are we here? Are we here, Lou? Can you freaking focus for 1 second, Lou? Stop trying to iterate other crap into this conversation. Focus. Fossilization, extremely rare. Species, extremely numerous. You get this, right? This is sinking into your brain, correct? What happens when you put these two situations together? What you would expect, because this is what you're always going to, right? In oh, well, this is what we see. This is what evolution posits and what you would expect to find. Okay, let's use that measuring stick on the fossil record. Extraordinarily rare circumstances required for fossilization, highly I don't even know what the word is for how numerous. It's like it's so numerous that I just say trillions. It could be even more than trillions. Who knows? So many various and different species throughout the history of time that if you take something so rare and something so numerous, that anytime something does get fossilized, and by the way, this is a quote from an evolutionary biologist, you would expect to find every fossil to be different. You would expect that the rarity of fossilization, finding any given species being fossilized, that every fossil you find would be a different species. That's the math. That's what you would expect if the fossil record were true. Now let's go to what the fossil record actually is. The number of fossils in the fossil record, and Brooke Lundley, you can, because you used to be a Christian, so you knew about all this stuff, right? Back when you were a Christian, how many fossils were in the fossil record? How many fossil species exist in the fossil record? 250,000. When I started doing this 30 years ago, you know what the number was? 250,000. The number, and yes, they do find an occasional new fossil species. They do. And then you know what happens? They find another one, and another one, and another one. I mean, of the same one. Because we have the whole set. We have uncounted billions. We have uncounted billions of fossils, extant fossils. Some fossils we have billions of copies of. Some fossils we have millions of copies of. Very, very rarely do we have a singular fossil of a species. $250,000. Go look it up. All of you are like, no, it can't be true. That's not what you would expect, because you would expect to find every fossil to be a different thing. 20K isn't a trillion, so evolution isn't real. Over 20,000 trilobite species have been identified in the fossil record. Okay, that's part of the 250,000 total fossil species. Those aren't my numbers. That's science's numbers. Go look it up. Go find your own sources. 250 fossil species. Out of the uncounted trillions that there should, look, again, if the fossil record were true, the fossil record is true. If evolution were true and all of your arguments were true, then what you would expect is to find, where are you getting that? There are 1.5 million species identified today, and perhaps even a greater number yet to be identified. Where are you getting that knowledge? Because I just looked this up like last year. I doubt they found 1.25 million species in the past year. What they probably are doing is finding ways to recategorize. Also, even if that were the case, we have billions upon billions, billions and billions and billions, literally uncountable extant fossils, meaning fossils that we have already discovered, not just the ones that exist. There's probably trillions of fossils out there that we can't even get to, and we have a limited set. I'll find out. I'm look it up. Analogy. Tell me where you got that information. In the fossil record. Based on available data, approximately 250 to 300,000 fossil species have been identified and named. Da, 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 da. The fossil record is incomplete due to factors like soft-bodied organisms rarely fossilizing, geological processes destroying fossils, and many fossils remaining undiscovered. For context, one estimate suggests that if 650,000 species existed on average at any given time over 600 million years, with species turning over every 30 million, the total number of species could be around 13 million. Oh, hogwash. With only a small percentage fossilized, you'd like me to explore how many, well, I guess nobody would know how many extinct branches there would be. There's millions we have, 250,000 identified, but there's millions we have. Then why are you saying there's 1.5 million? You just contradicted yourself. You said there are 1.5 million species identified today. And then you just agreed that there's only 250,000 species identified. So obviously the agreed to number by you, by Grok, and by what I've already researched is 250,000. That number has not significantly changed in 30 years. You think if there was somebody's job that was to identify fossil species, they could have done at least a few thousand a year, whatever. 250,000 have been formally described. There are many more, but no one is taking the time to look through all the fossils in details. There's no money in doing it. Oh, I see. It's money. Just like, aren't you the one who said there was not enough money in the school system? All right. So we're agreed. 250,000 fossil species. Billions and billions and billions of extant fossils. It just reminds me of collecting Star Wars cards as a kid. Right? When I was a kid, I collected Star Wars cards. And at first, it was like so excited. I'd buy a pack for 35 cents. And I'd open it up. And I get, oh, there's a Luke Skywalker in the Stormtrooper outfit. There's Darth Vader going into the hallway. Oh my gosh, there's C-3PO. Why does he have a metal thing? Maybe I was talking about that. I get my sticker and then I go and I buy another pack, 35 cents. I buy another pack and I get, oh my gosh, these are all different cards. And then I'm like 10 packs in and I'm like, oh man, here's another one of them. Luke Skywalker's in the Stormtrooper outfit. Oh man, here's another one of those same 3POs. And then I'm like 20 packs in. I'm like, man, now I got 6 of these stinking 3POs. And then eventually, when I had bought enough packs that I had the entire collection, you know what I had? I had 15 copies of one. I had 6 copies of another. I had 12 copies of another. And every time I bought a new pack, it was a card I already had. Every time I'd dig in. I'd dig into my couch cushions, get that 35 cents, and I'd go buy another pack. Looking for more fossils. Looking for more Star Wars cards. Well, and then the orange set came out, and that was a whole different thing. But anyways, isn't it funny how no matter how many packs we dig up, we get the same 250,000 Star Wars cards? Isn't it? It's almost, call me crazy, but it's almost like we got the whole set. But that doesn't fit in with your worldview, and so you have to reject it or find reasons and to excuse why the fossil record sure as hell doesn't do what the fossil record would be expected to do. Why do most Christians believe in evolution of species? Because we've been freaking propagandized for 100 years. Lou? Yeah. It's propaganda. It's propaganda. I'm not saying that scientists don't honestly believe this stuff. Of course they do. Of course they do. But that doesn't mean it's true. Right? Science is not consensus. If you're doing science by consensus, you're doing it wrong. You can't argue for truth based on how many people agree with you. What's that fallacy called? No, what you're saying is that the key to immortality exists in those cuneiform tablets. We know it for a fact, but we just haven't just. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to someone? But now you can draw your own stinking Star Wars cards. It's true. God made all those kinds just to face extinction doesn't match with an all-loving God either. Everything dies. But I'm glad you've accepted the fallacy of the fossil record supporting your... Because obviously you want to change the subject. Mike, you're a great comic book artist, but doing comic book science and saying it is true is not a good thing in my opinion. Well, your opinion is wrong. Oh no, books aren't being funded in the school system. That's not that schools aren't being funded and misappropriating funds. Fair enough. I'll accept that, Corpse Grinder. I just thought it was funny. It was like, schools aren't getting enough money, because that's such a left-wing talking point. The schools don't get enough money. The schools don't get enough money. Shoot, I should open a school. The schools make so much freaking money. It's insane. Oh, we have thousands of cuneiform tablets we haven't deciphered yet. Does that mean cuneiform wasn't a way of writing? Nanology, does that argument actually make sense in your mind? Because it doesn't make any sense in mine. Ah, shoot, I forgot the garbage. Block. Your straw man of the fossil record doesn't match because it's meant to. It's not a straw man. What are you talking about? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him think. Private schools sure do make money. Dope. Public schools make money hand over fist. Hand over fist. In New York, public schools get about $1 million per classroom. I don't know how big the schools are, but I think per year. Imagine just having one classroom. Imagine like getting funding like a public school, but you just wanted to do one small private classroom. And you're like, okay, give me that $1 million a year. I will educate the hell out of these 30 kids. Hard to believe we are here talking about a settled issue. That, Brooklyn Lou, proves you know nothing about science. Nothing in science is ever settled. And one that literally has led to saving countless lives through modern medicine. Evolution has jack squat to do with modern medicine. What's amazing is how public schools waste money. Oh yeah. It's amazing. Brooklyn Lou's good. I know how you feel. I know, right? In other words, Lou, grab a mirror. Grab yourself a mirror. All right. Oh, we can actually get into the scripture before like I time out today. Let's see. I've been doing stretches for my arm. It's feeling a little better, but it's not. It's doing. Yes. I've seen Expelled. I would highly recommend it to everyone, especially the Of course evolution is blah blah. Yeah. The reason evolution has no, or the reason, just watch Expelled, man. Anybody who even questions Darwinian evolution is choked out of the education system. There's no such thing as free thought or independent thought in the sciences. Mike, I really did not know how radical you are. You don't know that much of modern medicine is based on evolution. How does knowing the, or how does believing the, medicine is based on science, right? Evolution is not science. Evolution is a claim on origins. They say it's a science to try to make it sound like it's more important than it is. It really is, though. Science, you cannot apply the scientific method, which is what science is built on, to historical events. How we got here, it might be a study, but is not a science. Independent thought is literally the only way you get accolades in science. It's also the way you get kicked out and lose your tenure and lose your funding. Questioning Darwin. Who are you who are so wise in the ways of science? I am Arthur, King of the Britons, my liege. Yeah, Lou, go watch Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed. It is a great documentary. And then go watch Waiting for Superman. Honestly, you guys, Waiting for Superman, and you guys have to realize how freaking doctrinaire our education system is. It is cultish. It is absolutely cultish. All right. Let's get to this. Hosea chapter 8. Present. Share screen. Oh, hold on a second. Testable, predictable, repeatable. Evolution has all of these. Really? Could you repeat an evolution for me? Oh. You just proved yourself wrong. Also predictable, I just proved to you that the fossil record is falsely predicted. You would predict seeing nothing but transitional species every single time you found a new fossil. But instead, we found the same fossil species over and over and over again, times billions in some cases. Macroevolution is not testable or repeatable. Correct. Yeah, and how are you going to test it? Test it? Right. It does. You're just proving that evolution does not follow the scientific method. Therefore, it does not follow under science. Yes, have a convert with me. Oh, not now. We have 7 minutes left, and I got to read the Bible. It's really not that hard to just drop your information in the chat. All right. Hosea 8, translated with deepest meaning. Let me see if I can, if I scrunch this up. No, it just loses. Oops. Uh-oh, now I'm way off. Hold on. All right, there we go. To your lips the trumpet sounded like an eagle over the Lord's house, for they have transgressed my covenant, rebelled against my law, their defiance a wound in my sacred bond. To me they cry, my God, we, Israel, know you. Yet their voices are hollow, their knowledge a shadow before my searching gaze. Israel has spurned the good, the enemy pursues him, his rejection of righteousness, a chase that ends in ruin. They crown kings, but not by me, appoint princes without my knowledge. With silver and gold they craft idols, forging their own destruction. Yourself, Samaria, is rejected. My anger burns against them. How long will they cling to guilt, their worship a stench of impurity? From Israel it came, a craftsman made it. No God is it. Samaria's calf will shatter, its fragments a testimony to their folly. They sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. Reap the whirlwind, Sheriff Brady. Reap it. Sorry. Stalks without grain yield no flour. If they yield, strangers devour it, their labor lost to fleeting alliances. Israel is swallowed up among the nations like a worthless vessel, his glory dimmed, his place forsaken. For they went up to Assyria, a wild donkey wandering alone. Ephraim hired lovers, his heart straying for hirelings' favor. Though they hire among nations, I will gather them. Soon they will writhe under the burden of king and princes, their refuge a chain of their own making. Ephraim multiplied altars for sin. Altars became his sin, their sacred places a snare of rebellion. I wrote for him my law's abundance, yet they deemed it foreign, my words a stranger to their wayward hearts. They love sacrifice, offer flesh, yet the Lord delights not. He remembers their iniquity, visits their sins. To Egypt they return, their refuge a return to bondage. Israel forgot his maker, building palaces. Judah multiplied fortified cities. But I will send fire on their cities, consuming their strongholds, my judgment ablaze for their forgotten faith. Yeah, I cannot tie this in. At least I don't understand how to tie this in with end times prophecy. It's like the first part of Hosea was very clearly connected to end times prophecy, but this is like, unless Ephraim, like I was saying yesterday, is Islam, but now he's bringing in um, Assyria, which, okay, the Antichrist is called the Assyrian, and Samaria. And I have no idea. I have no idea. Sorry, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a biblical scholar. So maybe I need to find somebody to do a Bible study for this for me. So just to be clear, says Lou, you do think that scientists who are Christian, like Francis Collins, who believes in evolution of species, just do not know what you do. I believe that we live in a culture that is seeped deeply in evolution. I mean, I was raised agnostic, right? So I believed evolution was simply a fact my entire life until I no longer had a dog in that fight, and I started looking at the evidence that I never heard that contradicted evolution, right? Because they'll again, go watch Expelled. They don't allow any evidence that contradicts. Like I just showed you how the fossil record contradicts the theory of evolution. You're going to ignore it because even if you agreed, even if you could somehow comprehend that was true, you would say, yeah, but that's one little thing. We have so much more that proves evolution, because that's what they do. That's the stranglehold on thought that academia has on this subject. They won't teach creationism at all, obviously, and they won't teach intelligent design because somehow or another they've removed the possible, which is the stupidest thing. You cannot remove a possibility and then claim you are seeking truth. Right? You can't. If you remove a possibility, you are categorically closing yourself off from a possible truth. So if you say, all right, let us remove the possibility of the metaphysical from our study of origins and sources and causes, right? Then you have closed yourself off, and you're no longer seeking truth. You're seeking understanding without a possible explanation. That's not truth seeking. So science isn't truth seeking. Somehow or another, they've removed the metaphysical from science, and therefore science, the purpose of science is to try to explain things without God, without the possibility that the metaphysical has a role to play in reality. So because of that, it is very much, it has been ingrained into the psyche of the population that, well, science says this. Science isn't God. Science, I hate to tell you this, but scientists, these are people. And so far in my entire 53 years, I have never met a person that did not have, personal motivations. The science is not run by Spock, right? Science isn't run by a bunch of Vulcans who only think logically. Science is run by a bunch of human beings with personal foibles, motivations. A lot of them are anti-God, so they want to do everything they can to ensure that they can come up with reasons why we don't need a God. Just like you, Lou, right? Imagine you being in charge of some science, some board at a school, right? You'd be like, well, just make sure that there's no room for God or the metaphysical to, have any room in understanding how things work. We are able to predict where an animal will fall in phylogenetic record as it relates to strata. And voila, they find it every time. No, they don't. Strata is found out of order all over the planet. See, that's another one of those little things they don't teach you in the science, in the education system. The fossil record is a jumbled mess all over the planet. Sorry. That's a reality. Paralogism. A piece of illogical or fallacious reasoning, especially which appears superficially logical or which the reasoner believes to be logical. No. So what do you believe, Mike? What scientists do you recommend? Are they apologists? Well, I would start with A.E. Wilder-Smith's The Natural Sciences Know Nothing of Evolution. He goes into how impossible abiogenesis is from a physicist's or a chemical, is it a chemist or a physicist? Basically the impossibility of life coming from non-life. The main issue is that nobody can find something concrete to work off, and people just endlessly argue over it. Public schools do not have to tailor curriculum to religious zealots and deny science. No, they just have to deny the possibility that there's a God in order to tailor their curriculum to atheists. That is called indoctrination. That's called indoctrination. Science is not done by reading religious texts. Real science, look, real science was created so that people could understand God's creation. How God's creation works, not the how did God create it. That's the imaginary God of evolution. Time is the magic pixie dust. Time is the God of evolution. Oh yeah, just give it enough time. The impossible becomes possible. It becomes miraculous because we have time. And the more time they needed, the more they just pushed it back. They pushed it back and pushed it back. All right. Education 2, The Search for Money. Oh, we did that episode, didn't we? I think we did Waiting for Superman. Yeah. So, all right, that's it. 5 minutes over. I think that's good enough. Thanks, everybody, for being here. God bless you all. I'll be streaming on Whatnot later, and then we'll be doing Cross-Examine. Drawn and Quartered. We're on Blacklist Universe. So, thanks for being here. God bless you all. Have a great day.